Yeah, I ain't no suit wearing businessman like you. You know, I'm just a gangster, I suppose, and I want my corners.
3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome to the Five Corners Podcast. I am Jet Bonifay, and on the other line, he's already bought his tickets to see Robert Pattinson in a Batman suit. It's Ace Raluza. What's going on, brother?
What's good?
What's going on, man? Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Or I like as I like to say, the Happy Hallmark Corporation Day.
That's right. It's a BS holiday.
Listen, you can't convince women it's a BS holiday, right? It's, you know, they want the flowers, they want the chocolates, they want the whole kit and caboodle. So again, welcome to the podcast, everybody who's new. This is effectively episode 0 for us. So we just want to give y'all the who, the what, the where, the when, the why of why we're doing this whole thing. So real quickly about me, my name is Jet Bonifay. I moved to New Jersey, specifically Jersey City, from the Philippines when I was 8 years old. And I basically lived in Jersey City for the past 20 years. And 10 years ago, I moved out to the lovely New Jersey suburbs. If you're looking to move to Jersey, don't do it. Property taxes are insane. You're better off doing what Ace does and Ace did and go to Texas, where it's a lot cheaper. Cost of living is a lot lower.
Yeah, come on down. You know, if you watch my stories, you see how the gas prices are like.
Yeah, I see. I watch it in envy as, like, you know, the price per gallon teeters close to $3 up here, man. Go ahead, Ace. Tell the folks a little something about yourself, man.
All right. So Abner's my government. I was born in New York City, Upper East Side, and grew up and lived in Jersey City my entire life up until Carla and I moved to Austin, Texas 2.5 years ago. Jet and I grew up one block from each other, parallel actually on both sides. When we met, there was maybe 2 to 3 other Filipino kids in our classes. All of whom were not born in the Philippines, nor could we speak on our experience about it, obviously. So when Jet arrived, we didn't have to ask where he was from because he made it pretty clear from the get whenever he prefaced one of his answers to Miss O'Brien's questions. That's our 3rd grade teacher, by the way, with in the Philippines, complete with him standing off to the side of his desk. So we were just like, okay, yeah, this guy's
it was very regimented.
Filipino.
Yeah, it was very regimented down there, right? There's a lot of Filipino pride that came along with coming across the water. So
yeah, right. No, looking back, we totally get it, but it's certainly something I look back fondly on.
What we wanted to do is kind of get you guys kind of a look at how this show is going to be structured. Basically, it's going to be predominantly a 2-person format with me and Mr. Zula here, with occasional interviews. We'll be covering topics in the realm of sports, Filipino culture, entertainment, parenting, and fitness. And we want to be able to provide those insights on these subjects with our own specific inner city flavor. We're aiming for a once-a-week upload, but because we're both employed full-time and we have young kids, it means that most of these pods are probably going to be produced and recorded and edited way past kids' bedtimes and into the wee hours of the night. So the schedule may be a bit haphazard in the early going. So please bear with us. Why we're here and why are we even doing this? I think, you know, for me, what kind of drove me to this, and I'm hoping many parents will relate, is that you generally run out of people to talk to in depth on subjects that don't revolve around your kids or work, right? Most of the day you're talking to like colleagues, you're talking to your children, and like you're talking to your significant other. And, you know, I love my wife, she's awesome, but man, as soon as I start talking about LeBron James's PER or potentially moving my workout schedule to a more hypertrophy driven workout regimen, she glazes over. I don't blame her, because I'm sure that, you know, when she starts talking about like Netflix rom-coms and like her newest facial routine or face lotion or whatever, I get into a catatonic state too, right? And I think generally as you get older, your circle of friends gets a lot tighter.
It does.
And you just don't have like the patience to deal with the bullshit small talk that you would normally have to put up with acquaintances, or if you're trying to get new friends. Because, you know, when you're younger, you really don't know who you are. So
Mhm.
you engage in that small talk in the beginning just to kind of get an understanding of who you are, what people you want to hang out with and surround yourself with. So all of that to say that, this is not what this podcast is about. Like, we want to get to the meat and potatoes of a lot of these subjects and really treat it like a conversation, in-depth conversation between friends, amongst friends, where you don't, kind of pussyfoot around the subject matter. So we want to have an in-depth conversation together, obviously, and talk about topics that intrigue us, that infuriate us, interest us, and inspire us. So at least that's for me. That's my motivation for this. I'm hoping that, the folks on the line can get that as well. So what about for you
Right
guys?
on. Yeah. And we'll definitely be touching on, as you put it, the period where we were finding who we were. So we'll definitely be going back in time and kind of comparing our upbringing to what we're preparing to face with our own kids. So it'll be interesting to have those discussions. But as far as motivation and, well, for one, you got me into it. You asked me, but and obviously I couldn't say no, because for me, I think it's therapeutic. Kind of harkens back to the days when the only things we can do was play video games, go to the park with permission, and call our friends.
Right,
333-5625.
Oh, there it is.
I mean,
there it is.
That's your landline that your parents still have, right?
That's right.
And it's funny because that number and John's number is probably the only two landlines I still remember. I'll never forget it. And with good reason, because it's probably the two numbers I've called like the most growing up.
But you know what? People take that for granted, though, right? Like, even nowadays, I don't know I have a landline in my house. I have no clue what it is. If somebody was to put a gun to my head and go, "Hey, tell me what your landline number is," right? Because we don't do it anymore. We literally pick a name from a list of names in our phones and contacts, and you just like hit that button and immediately calls that person. So there's something to be said about exactly what you were mentioning about the muscle memory of pressing the button on like an analog phone to be able to get in touch with somebody, right? So I think that's a very cool thing that, maybe some of our audience can't really relate to because they've never used an analog phone.
I'd have to think back to what we used to talk about as kids, but we've somehow managed to remain in touch through the course of 30 years, all the while embarking on our own paths. But we always pick up right away and just talk. And to your point, even more so for me in a new city, while we do have a circle of friends here, a tribe, if you will, whom we enjoy spending time with, I don't really get to talk about the things that interest me. So I'm glad I have this outlet now with you on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, and I think that long, it's weird to say it that way, almost like an essay, like that long-form conversation. It just doesn't happen. Like I said before, we're kind of going from point to point A to point B, getting our stuff done, that you just don't have time to sit in front of somebody unless you're specifically having dinner. Like if, and we're so disjointed nowadays, right? It's not like, obviously you're living in Austin and I'm living here in Jersey. We don't get a chance to just kind of, hey, let's head to the bar real quick and grab a couple of drinks, right? So I think, the word you said was great, is that therapeutic part of it, right? As again, like I said, as we get older, your circle gets smaller and smaller, and I think you're kind of, I don't want to use the word trapped, but you're kind of in a state where, that circle gets so small that there's nobody outside of that circle, and I think it's that outlet that we need as we kind of get older to have these conversations and kind of dig deeper into topics that we're interested in. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, and that's certainly something I could foresee us like talking about more and kind of digging deep into our motivations for our families, because that's where it starts and ends with us, right? And then everything else outside is just that, our interests on the outside, but it's all about us and our families at the end of the day.
All right, guys. So please subscribe to our podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll be posting even more content. And please don't forget to rate and review us. We want this to be a dialogue, so please leave us comments, questions, and suggestions on any of our social media platforms. Again, thanks for listening and watching, and we're glad you took the time out of your day to listen to us, and we hope to see you next time. Until then, we out.